All good stories begin with geography. So my discussion is going to be a little geography lesson. Bear with me. There is a point. During the Pliocene era, 2.5 million years ago, much of what we know as Western Pennsylvania was under Pennsylvanian bedrock. There was a glacial outwash 700,000 years ago, and ice flowed over this land until about 10,000 years ago. And between then and now, large woodlands, rivers, streams formed the Allegheny River Valley. Above, layers of clay, of course, coal and petroleum, limestone, shale, silt, and sandstone. The Salzburg sandstone, which you see along Route 28 and the Freeport Road Byway, all that Salzburg sandstone. Even mastodons roamed right here on this land. But except for the rivers, boundaries did not exist here. For thousands of years, Native Americans inhabited this region. Deyoga is the term for a beautiful place of three rivers, was the term for the crossroads of the original people, the Delaware, the Shawnee, the Seneca people, from which the Iroquois and the Mingo people emerged. In the early 1700s, the Europeans settled in the region. 1754, the French arrived. 1758, the British took the fort. They called it Fort Pitt. In 1772, the British Crown turned all the land over to the colonists and told them to work it out. Western colonists, traders, and land speculators on both sides of the Allegheny, from Verona to the east and Etna and Sharpsburg on this side, all settled in this area or did their work in this area. In the 1780s, the state of Pennsylvania purchased the land north of the Allegheny River, and Allegheny County was formed. Meanwhile, people who lived on this land for generations, the Seneca, lived throughout the area. They grew their three sisters' crops, the squash, the corn, the beans. They hunted the abundant forests and they fished the rivers right down the road from us, which at the time were actually rapids. It was much more shallow then. They guided the colonists and they traded with them in those early days. Chief Gayasuda is the most well known to us. He was George Washington's guide and he was a hunter. He represented the Seneca people in negotiations with the British settlers. He became a friend and a diplomat until his death in 1794. Jimmy West, this is a little side note for you, a little bit of trivia. Jimmy West, the brother of our beloved Lauri Ann West, is an artist. He sculpted the beautiful Chief Gayasuda and George Washington monument called Point of View that's currently on Mount Washington. You can see the chief's tomahawk and George Washington's sword. It's a beautiful testament to the spirit of the early work that went on to establish the new world on the very land that we live on today. In 1797, James Powers and his brother Thomas used their depreciation land grants and paid $549 for 274 acres as a reward for their service in the Revolutionary War. There's a historic landmark, an old log cabin. It's one of the oldest log cabins in Western Pennsylvania, just 2 blocks from the Lauri Ann West Community Center. Several of the descendants of the Powers family were long-standing farmers in the region, and they were teachers as well. Over time, the Pittsburgh region transitioned from being early settlements and native homes to trading outposts and industrial producers of goods from the vast natural resources surrounding us, transported and supported by the rivers and the railroads. Here, in what we now know today as O'Hara Township, it was farms, lots and lots of farms. In the 1820s, David Boyd, a Scotch-Irish immigrant, purchased hundreds of acres on both sides of O'Hara Township and Montrose Hill. Several of his children were school teachers, and we believe they established at least 3 Boyd schools on what was farmland in the region. The last of the Boyd schools was built right here, where Lauri Ann West sits today, on what was a wheat farm in the 1950s. It operated as an elementary school until 1982. Hundreds of neighborhood school children enjoyed an idyllic educational experience on this beautiful setting. Of course, we all know the tragic incident on the playground in 1968 when second grader Lauri Ann West died. Her mom, Annetta, and her dad, James West, were determined to turn their sadness into a beautiful legacy for their girl. On this land, that was so important to their precious daughter, where she loved to play, read books, and dance. They funded the construction of a beautiful new library as an addition to the elementary school building. And for more than a decade, the Boyd school children used that space as part of their suite school. In 1983, the Fox Chapel School District granted the land to O'Hara Township, as long as the land would be used for municipal purposes. The Community Center and Library Association were born in 1983, as neighbors were determined to keep that aging old building open, keep the lights on, and operate the region's first community center and library. The mighty Gretchen Montgomery and Sue Gollier, who sadly passed away just last year, along with many other neighbors and the West family, worked tirelessly to keep that building operational and ensure that children and families would have a place to come and play and enjoy shows, take silly science classes, paint, dance, summer camps, play soccer, and read books to their heart's content. And this is the point. We are the beneficiaries of all of these people, these native people, these settlers, the families, the farmers, the teachers, the neighbors, and the bounty that they left us on this woodland, these rivers, these streams, these farms, this land, this geography. All good stories begin with geography, is so rich with the love and the hard work of so many people who called our neighborhood home. This is what inspired the Community Center and Library Association to fight to raise funds for the new Lauri West Community Center and the new Cooper Siegel Community Library in Fox Chapel. There were multiple feasibility studies, town halls, architectural renderings, council workshops, fundraising campaigns. There were years of negotiations, which resulted in the, I'm sure, very famous 2006 four-party agreement. It was a way forward to transform state and school district land into new community assets. The agreement was between the Fox Chapel Area School District, Fox Chapel Borough, O'Hara Township, and the Community Center and Library Association, four parties. So, school district would lease the 13 acres to O'Hara Township for municipal purpose. Fox Chapel, they provided a 99-year lease of the land next to the municipal building for the new library. And they also set aside $1 million to help build it. And they also promised no more than $350,000 a year in financial contributions. O'Hara, likewise, provided a 99-year lease of this land to the Community Center Association, $1 million, and no more than $125,000 a year for operation of the facility on the property. The CCLA, that's the group of us who were doing the work to raise the money. We promised to raise the money in good faith for both the new buildings and to renovate this property, what was the old Boyd Elementary School. And finally, we promised to split into two boards, the Community Center Association and the Community Library Association. And then with only a couple of staff people and about 1 million volunteers, there were more feasibility studies, more town halls, more architectural renderings, more council workshops and fundraising campaigns. We even came up with a new logo and a new brand for the Lauri West Community Center that represented all the things we wanted to be. It has the 6 different elements coming out of a center. The center is uplifting the 6 elements, the 6 elements being Fox Chapel, O'Hara, Indiana, Aspinwall, Blawnox, and Sharpsburg, the 6 communities of our school district. We intended in those early days, and I'm sure we still intend, that this is the community center to be the center of our community, regardless of your ability to pay, your ability to do fitness, your ability to enjoy art, your ability to get to the center in an easy way, where you golf, if you golf, where you worship, if you worship. We intended the Lauri West Community Center to be the center of our community for our school district and beyond. And that is what the new brand was intended to represent. All the while, the Boyd Community Center continued operating on this ground in the old schoolhouse as a community center and library until its demolition in 2014. Now, some may wonder, how did you do it? with old smelly rooms and leaky ceilings and single paned windows and no use of the lush soccer fields in the backyard, with buckets of water coming down into the reading carrels in the library. Well, we had a devoted library staff and patrons of the library who supported the library side of things, which was fantastic. For the community center, we had a talented executive director and programmers who attracted organizations like the Pittsburgh Ballet Theater, the Pittsburgh CLO, Carnegie Mellon University Artists in Residence, the renowned teams of beer makers and rug hookers and Irish step teachers. We hosted the Fox Chapel School District Homecoming Parade, the beginning of it. We curated speaker series. We had Indian culture nights. We had stage right theater here, and we had juried holiday art markets. Of course, we had summer camps too. But it was the long list of community programming that kept the community center alive during those tough years. Our donors for the new building, they believed our promise that the new Lauri West Community Center would be filled with all of those programs, all of those things, and that they would be financially sustained through the revenues from fitness memberships and fitness programs. That was the promise of the gymnasium and the fitness center. And we knew the community would come for fitness and they would stay for programming. And this is where you all come in. You members of the board, you volunteers, you staff, and you donors, all of you who are taking such great care of this amazing community asset on this beautiful and historic land, thank you. Thank you for helping write the next chapter in this story, dating all the way back to the Pleistocene era, 2 million years ago at least, to this very special moment in our community's history. Someday, someone will tell the story of what we did here on this land, and they will be very grateful for our hard work. Thank you very much for your hard work. I can't wait to see you very soon at the Lauri West Community Center. Bye.